Today's video will be about all of your lives and how that whole thing works. Today's title is Reincarnation, Octaves, and the Constellation Codes of the Soul. What if reincarnation isn't just about coming back to Earth? What if it's about returning to a new note in the great symphony of being? Every soul is born a frequency, not a static thing, but a living, spiraling current, a note within the octave of the cosmos. And when I say octave, I don't just mean music, I mean dimensional reality. Realms, harmonic layers of existence stacked like Russian dolls. Some slower and denser, others faster and more radiant. Reincarnation is not about punishment or reward, it's about resolution. Completing unfinished chords, moving through the scales of experience until your original tone, the soul's true frequency, is restored. Each lifetime is a modulation, a different key, a new arrangement of the same song, slightly closer to home. And your astrology? That's not just a personality chart. It's a timestamp, a soul code, a vibrational fingerprint left by the stars as you entered a particular octave. The constellations you were born under aren't just symbolic, they're mythic maps, fractal blueprints. Each one carries a storyline, a cosmic pattern that you've played out in many forms across many timelines. When you incarnate under the energy of Orion, you carry the scars of the warrior and the architect. When you come through Lyra, you remember the fall of light and the rebuilding of harmony through sound. When you echo through Pleiades, you carry the seeds of healing, feminine wisdom, and remembrance. These aren't just stars, they're realms. They're vibrational libraries, and the soul remembers them like old songs. And your sun sign? That's the chapter of the myth you're currently living, literally. Think of your birth date as your storyline selector. The mythic arc your soul chose to embody this realm. Each zodiac sign is more than a trait list. It's an archetypal role in the great cosmic play. If you're born under Aries, you're living the warrior story, the divine spark, the initiator, forging sovereignty through fire. If you're Taurus, you're embodying the earth guardian, learning beauty, stability, embodiment, and the sacredness of matter. As a Gemini, you live in messenger myth, the sacred twin, mastering communication, polarity, and mental alchemy. Cancer brings the mother myth line, nurturing ancestral memory, emotional intelligence. Leo holds the royal flame, the radiant heart, creative power, divine child remembering its crown. Virgo plays the sacred servant, the temple keeper, the healer, the one who brings spirit into the smallest detail. Libra embodies the mirror bearer, the harmonizer, learning divine justice, union, balance of light and shadow. Scorpio is the alchemist, the soul that walks through death to be reborn, mastering intensity, transformation, and power. Sagittarius is the wanderer seer, the philosopher, truth seeker, and myth breaker. Capricorn plays the mountain elder, the legacy builder, mastering time, structure, and responsibility. Aquarius is the rebel of the code, the innovator, frequency disruptor, and the architect of future timelines. Pisces dissolves into the mystic song, surrender, unity, transcendence, and the end of all cycles. So yes, your sign reveals which myth you're currently inside of. It's how you remember the tone you're here to play in this lifetime. And when you realize that, you begin to work with the archetype instead of against it. You become an aware actor, the consciousness conductor. And in between lives, you don't just float around in some cloud-like afterlife. You enter the harmonic halls, the chambers between incarnations. Here the soul reviews the dissonance it created, the notes it held too long, the rhythms it never learned to feel. It listens to its last movement and chooses the next composition, not to be judged, but to evolve, to rise. Because death isn't an ending, it's a modulation. Just as a violin string doesn't stop vibrating when you lift off your finger, the soul doesn't stop existing when the body ceases. It simply shifts frequency, enters a new measure, a new phrase. Sometimes it comes back in the same key, same family, same trauma, same patterns, trying to resolve the same chord it couldn't figure out before. Other times it jumps completely to a new octave. That's why some people are born with ancient eyes or grief that doesn't belong to their childhood. They didn't reincarnate from another person, they're reincarnated from another realm. Some souls don't just reincarnate in a straight line. They spiral, they leap. They arrive in bodies not to learn the earth game, but to teach its forgotten harmonics. These octave leapers, star walkers, dimensional musicians returning to a density where the music has fallen out of tune. They come not to blend in, but to remember the score, to feel the dissonance but not become it, to rewrite the patterns by vibrating differently. Because once you remember the music, you no longer just live life, you begin to compose it. Most souls loop in reincarnation because the dissonance is unresolved. They haven't yet learned the lesson of a particular chord, be it betrayal, shame, control, unworthiness, or power. These aren't punishments, they're incomplete melodies asking to be finished with grace. But you can't fake harmony. It has to be felt, resolved, played from the heart, not the ego. And that's the real secret. The heart is the tuning fork, the center of all octave shifts. It's not the mind that releases the karma, it's the resonance of love. This is why ancient cultures called Earth a school, not a prison, because it's the conservatory of souls, a realm where you can learn 7 different dimensions of being all within one instrument, 7 octaves. The human body, each chakra a string, each choice a note, each life a chance to sing more clearly. And when the soul has completed its octave, it doesn't reincarnate, it resonates. Becomes a fully coherent field, a pure waveform, a being of light and sound, no longer trapped by polarity or cycle. At that point, the soul can choose to become a guide, a star, even a constellation itself, a living myth that others navigate by, because stars, too, are just formal souls who mastered light. In this view, God isn't just a being, God is the original tone. The one note that split itself into scale, into a chord, into all creation. And you, as soul, are one of those sacred intervals, a shimmering bridge between the infinite silence and the song of becoming. So reincarnation is the soul remembering its scale, correcting the rhythm, restoring harmony, becoming the whole again, one lifetime at a time. And when we speak of ascension, we're not talking about leaving Earth in a spaceship. We're talking about changing frequency, tuning your being into the higher octaves while still inside the body, becoming the music of higher realms here and now. Because Earth isn't the bottom of the scale, it's the midpoint, the meeting ground, the stage where the light and matter learn to dance. And the body, the most intricate instrument in the galaxy, a crystalline chamber tuned by breath, by thought, by feeling. And you're the composer. You just forgot you had the baton in your hand. So remember, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not cursed. You are a note returning home, a sound seeking its source, a story finding its resonance. And the moment you stop repeating the pain, the moment you play it differently, the octave shifts and the whole universe sings with you. How do I know all this? And I know some of you might be wondering, how do you know all this? Where is this coming from? Let me answer that humbly and clearly. I'm not a guru. I'm not a prophet. I'm not Jesus. I'm not a remembering being. I am a remembering being, part of what's called the Christos Sophia lineage. I carry what's known as the 12-strand Christos template, the original human design, before the fall, before the distortion, before the forgetting. It's not a religion. It's not something I joined. It's a frequency, an architecture. And it started waking up in me years ago, long before I had the words for it. That's why the name of this page is The Answers. Not because I have them, but because I always knew they were out there and that maybe, just maybe, something would come through me that could help us all remember. And my profile picture? Oh, and I made answers lowercase on purpose because this was never about ego, it was about resonance. That's what I'm here for, to remember, to speak from the field of remembrance and to help others awaken the answers already encoded inside them. Because this isn't just my story, it's all of ours. Have a great night. Namaste.